Good morning guys. How's it seems? How's Alessandra? How are you all doing? Welcome. Hi Antonio, how are you doing? Hope we have all had a good morning so far, or good afternoon. And I hope everyone had a good trading day yesterday. How's it, Nick? How are you doing? Yesterday only got involved in GJ buys. You guys saw those on stream, and then I got some gold buys, which I did talk about. I had taken just before stream started. We talked about it a little bit on stream, and then those played out perfectly. Those were these buys above this 1800 level, which were perfect. A little bit high actually, 1804 above the 4-hour high. So that was amazing. Hi Stanley, hi Sharif, Balas, how are you doing? Welcome everyone. Gold's coming down quite a lot already today, guys, so just something to be aware of. Do also take into consideration that we have ADP today. Now, ADP is an extremely highly volatile news event. So if you are trading any USD related pair, just be aware that at 3:15, well, that's my time, whatever your time is, go find it on Forex Factory, that there is going to be this really high impact news. So if you see price moving a lot, you know exactly why. There is also this high impact OPEC JMMC meetings. Now these are basically your crude oil, where they do a meeting about checking the conditions of the oil markets and things like that. So I was looking a little bit into it this morning before starting the stream, just to make sure that it wasn't going to impact us too, negatively, and it's not going to be too bad. So yeah, it's mainly for if you trade any oil related sort of indices or anything like that. Bless made my first withdrawal yesterday. Well done, Antonio. Yep, making withdrawals is definitely the moment you start realizing that Forex is starting to work out for you, and that you're actually going to start getting the hang of it. An even better feeling is when you start paying for things with those withdrawals. So obviously depending on expenses and things like that, but when you start paying things for, like, I don't know, even if it's a phone bill, if you start covering your costs with your Forex, sort of earnings or withdrawals, that is the best feeling you can experience in this sort of line of work, for sure. We are going to break down gold and GJ. I think let me do gold first. I'm sorry, GJ first, just because we obviously have open coming up just now. Let's go from the weekly. So you can see already this week is an extremely bullish week so far. I mean, it is only Wednesday at the moment, but still we've had a nice strong bullish push over the past couple of days. The weekly still doesn't have a bottom wick, which of course is a little bit concerning, because we do like to see a top and a bottom wick. If this weekly had a bottom wick and now had broken the previous weekly high, I would expect us to be testing the weekly highs which we had created previously at this 157 level within the next couple of days or next couple of weeks. But the fact that we don't have this weekly bottom wick does obviously concern me a little bit. If we drop down to the daily, you can see we've been pretty bullish over the last few days. Our weekly structure, by the way, guys, is currently bullish. And again, if it come this afternoon, if this current weekly candle is still bullish, we maintain that weekly bullish market structure. If we look on the daily, we're also still bullish. This was our high point which created the high, have not exceeded that point and have not created a new high. So we maintain that bullish market structure. We need to also start realizing that we obviously had this strong bearish push. Now we've made our a decently strong bullish push. The only thing about this push that we've made is, if you look at the strength of the bearish candles when we were coming down compared to the strength of the bullish candles while coming up, these bullish candles were closing doji bullish candles, not very strong at all. So there was a pretty equal amount of buyers and sellers in the market. There wasn't a strong indication that we're going to get some nice strong bullish candles. Now yesterday's bullish candle was a little bit different, because you can see we wicked down quite nicely and had a pretty strong body close. We closed a lot higher than where the open of the candle was, as opposed to if you look at this doji candle over here, we closed basically on where the open of the candle was. So something to take into consideration. This could be an indication that sellers are now being flushed out of the market and the buyers are more in control, just because of how strong the candles are closing. So we need to look at that candlestick formation. It's very, very important to look at those sort of things, especially on the higher time frames. It tells us a lot. We're also still respecting lows, which is great to see. We've done that a few times, so that's going to be your higher lows on the lower time frames. Yesterday we didn't break the previous daily high, but we did still close strong bullish. So important to remember. We also on the 4 hours still bullish in market structure. This was our low point which created the low. We exceeded that and have been creating highs since. So this is our newest high, and this is the point which created the high over here. So below this level we will be bearish in market structure. For now we're bullish in market structure on the 4 hours. So that's our 3v0 already. Now this is obviously where we're going to start marking out some major zones. So we can mark that resistance level out, because if we look to the left we're going to have some clean candles if we break above that resistance. If we're looking for a support level, it's going to be very hard to find a very good 4 hour support level to mark out, but I would just mark out the support level, because if we look left from the support level we can see some relatively clean candles. There is a bit of a gap there, but that's just where price and register. That's alright, because we're going to drop down to lower time frames, and then we're going to obviously fine tune our zones and see what areas we're going to be looking to make some trades in. So you can see at the moment we are not in the best state on GJ. GJ hasn't been in a good state for, I mean, all of these daily candles. I haven't really found any easy entries on GJ, to be honest, over the past few days. If we look at the buying zone, which is a lot more interesting to me than where we're going to be looking for sells, we have clean candles all the way up to 155.614. So we can see all these clean candles, right? It's a nice range to trade in. Structures on our side. It's about 34 pips worth of trading range. If we're going to be continuing, obviously we want to see a strong candle close above this 155.272 level. The only problem with that is, again, we have this rejection wick. So if you want to be a passive zone marker, what you can do is mark the top of that wick, and then you can say, okay, I only want to see a candle close above 155.337. Obviously if you're going to be a little bit more aggressive, then you can bring it down to the middle of the wick if you want, but you have to remember that that wick is there and that you can reject within that wick. So if we do get a candle close, let's say at this level, which will then be our highest candle close, we can still then come up to this 155.340 level and reject. It can happen. Now if we're going to look at where we could possibly look for some sells, I mean, market structure at the moment on the 30-minute is currently, if this was our high, created at this point, low, and this was a point which created the low. So we're still bearish in market structure on the 30-minute. This is kind of like a ranging counter trend, or a ranging bullish micro trend. If we go by technicals, we're actually bearish in market structure, because this was our low. So we look, have we created a new low? No, we haven't. We look for the 2 candle pullback. Obviously it's at this level, but then you take the high. Have we exceeded that point? No, we haven't. So we're still bearish in market structure on the 30-minute time frame. Something important to look at. But if we do get then above this level, that's going to be our structural flip, and it's going to give us our 4v0 bullish market structure. And that's going to be obviously highly important, because we're going to be very interested in buys above this level, and we're going to have all the key market structures on our side or with our buyers. So my bias for GJ at the moment is obviously still buys, guys. Even with the 3v1, I think that's strong enough to be looking for buys and buys alone. If I was going to be looking for sells, it would probably have to be somewhere below this level. I'm going to mark this out in a different color, because this is going to then represent just to make it a little bit more clear, this is kind of like a minor zone. So if we looked on the higher time frames, this wasn't showing as a 4 hour support. It only showed as a support level on the 1 hour and the 30-minute. So obviously, again, take into consideration this wick. If you want to, you can mark out the bottom of that wick, but all that's going to do is cut into your trading range and provide you with only clean candles. Whereas if you are going to market aggressively, you can move it up a little bit, maybe even halfway through, and then you can decide, okay, if candle closes below this level, it's our lowest closing candle, and it is technically below a support level, and then the next candle you obviously want to see tap into your zone and continue down to the previous support level below your marked out support level. And that's going to be obviously at the end of the clean candles, and the clean candles end over here because that's a support, right? So for me, what I'll be looking for is potential buys above 155.297. Again, guys, your zones may be just a little bit different depending on how you obviously mark it out, whether you're going to be marking the top of the wick or just above. I mean, in the middle. And then I would say it's going to be very risky sells below 154.832. And 3, 2. So that's what we're kind of looking at the moment. I don't think that we're going to get these sells to play out, but I would be very interested in seeing the buys. Gold at the moment is tapping obviously into an area of support, so it does make sense why we could start rejecting this area. I still have us bullish on gold. Obviously this could just be the pullback on the higher time frames which we've been looking for. You can see on the 4 hour, we obviously, if we do close below this 4 hour support level, then yes, we could start seeing some more bearish continuation. But at the moment this could just be creating the higher low for us to continue further bullish, because obviously after such a strong bullish push you are pretty much guaranteed to see a bit of a pullback. So back to our focus being on GJ. Obviously we have about a minute until open, so let's just wait and see. Again, not a great pre-London sort of session. There hasn't been anything really happening at the moment. We could have maybe, if we had seen a nice strong catalyst candle, you know, pre-London closing above this area, it would have made a huge difference. It would have made buys almost guaranteed. But when you're seeing candles closing how they have been closing, we obviously are trapped in a range at the moment, with this being our current range, and we can't really do much in these sorts of ranges. So I'll just be very, very aware of how we're moving on GJ at the moment. Gold is looking like it's moving a lot better than GJ. I'll do a gold analysis after we see how this next 30-minute candle forms, most probably. So again, a terrible candle close in the middle of a range. We are ranging. What this might indicate to us is that obviously we could start seeing some moves later on in the day. If we just are going to be looking at news, I know tomorrow for the pound is an extremely volatile day. You look at all these red folders coming up, so obviously the official bank rates being the most important, most probably. So this is going to have a major impact on GJ. So if you are going to be trading GJ tomorrow, just be aware of this stuff. Tomorrow I'm going to be traveling, so unfortunately guys, there isn't going to be a stream tomorrow, or you know, much happening on from my side. I'm going to be probably traveling for about 6-7 hours, so we'll end up missing most of this. I don't even know if I'll get an opportunity to trade this that news, but from Friday I'll definitely be able to trade NFP, which is great. And then again guys, streams continuing from Tuesday. For the members, I'll be doing Discord or Zoom calls. I do want anyone to join the Discord. I will put the, let me see if I can find the link for this Discord, and then anyone is more than welcome to join. And then for things like NFP, we can all do that. Let me copy this link. Yeah, it's gonna, I'm driving, Alessandro, so it's gonna be a very long day of travel. Don't know if this link is gonna paste, but let me see. Actually, let me put it in the Telegram. I'll do that after stream, put it in the Telegram. I don't know if you guys do have Discord, but it is basically like Zoom, but I would say quite a lot easier to use and a lot better. You don't have to set up meetings and all this stuff. And there's channels in the King's Capital Discord where you can obviously join those channels and chat to anyone who wants to talk about trading and all that sort of stuff. I do want to do it, especially while I'm away, because obviously there's going to be no stream. So what I will maybe do for a couple of, because it's just mainly going to be Friday and Monday that I'm not going to be able to stream. So what I'll do is sit in the Discord, share my screen, and then be able to go through some of what I'm thinking about, especially when with NFP. NFP is a very important one. So I'll put that in the Telegram after the stream, and then yeah, you guys must just join up. And I think going into the next few weeks, it's going to be a nice way of just being able to interact, again, just continuing to build the community for sure. So if you don't have Discord, do download it. It is free and yeah, very easy to use. Closed on support on gold. Yeah, guys, GJ, not the greatest at the moment, just please. Will you be looking to do any bootcamp training in the future? I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday. I think at the end of February, I'm going to be doing end of February, beginning of March. So either the last week of February or the first week of March. What I want to do is a full-on bootcamp where it is everything in the course from the beginning to end, and it's going to be over maybe 2 days, and each day is going to be maybe 3-4 hours, and it's just going to be going through everything, answering all the questions that anyone has, just to, I think that's going to be a great way of people learning. So yeah, I do think end of February, beginning of March, I'm definitely planning on doing that, and I think that'll be really, really beneficial for anyone involved, because that way I can go through all the content with each and every one of the members, and that's just gonna help out a lot. So yeah, definitely end of this month, I would say, or first week of March, no later than that. And it'll probably be over 2 days, maybe 4 hours a day. So if you guys are planning, let me see, that's gonna be it'll probably be over a weekend, so maybe the Friday or Saturday, because I think, obviously some people maybe have work during the week. So we will do maybe Saturday the 26th or Saturday the 5th of March. So those are the two options. And again, guys, that will be from going through every aspect of the course and every aspect of what the content is, and from the bottom to the top, all of it. Just checking out gold. Obviously we have closed now on a 30 minutes level of support. You can see we obviously can just shift that down now, because there isn't really a trading range to the bottom side, guys. Taking sells at this point would just definitely not be worth your while. Just wait at the moment. I would say there's pretty good buy potential above this level, and really good sell potential below 1794. Will be available to members, only members, Yabelas. So you'll be there for sure. Just keep one. I'll let you know probably by the end of next week. So that is going to be by the end of next week, I'll let you know the exact date. Obviously it would be nice to know from the members which one would probably suit them best, so I'm going to obviously send an email out to all of you guys and see who is more, which weekend would suit better, because I know obviously our people have work commitments, family commitments, and I just want to try accommodate for everyone. I know it's almost impossible to please everyone, but yeah, if we can get as close to that as possible, that would be great. Okay, due to lack of volume on GJ and just GJ being GJ, I'm gonna do a gold breakdown, because yeah, there's not much to wait for on GJ. So obviously we're looking at gold at the moment. We have last week's weekly candle closing strong bearish, giving us that bearish market structure. Obviously if this candle continues how it is until Wednesday, then we are going to be transitioning that weekly structure to bullish, which is very likely at this point. Obviously we are currently quite bearish on the daily. If we go look at the daily time frame, you can see we have had so far today quite a lot of bearish momentum. We have actually broken yesterday's daily low if you look closely, but I do think that there is still potential for maybe a little bit more bullish momentum. So based on the higher time frames, I do think maybe we could have one bearish day, maybe 2 bearish days, and then continue bullish. We obviously have formed this daily support on a previous level of daily support. Yesterday we obviously had a very strong bullish push. Now we are getting that pullback, which is also on the 4 hour. You'll see yesterday, Sharif, I know you put in the group that you're getting that your retest that you wanted at those 1800 levels, our retest could possibly be pulling even a little bit lower to then continue bullish. So do keep that in mind. Our structure on the daily as well is bullish. High created by this point, have not exceeded it, have not created a new high. Very, very simple to look at that. So at the moment it's a 1v1. If we drop down to 4 hour, obviously this is where we can start marking our major zones. So that is our major resistance level. And if we're looking for support levels, this level that we're on right now is obviously going to be a level of 4 hour support. You can see we formed that quite a while ago on the 31st of Jan. So if we break above this resistance level, we have clean candles up until about 1816 based on the 4 hour time frame. And if we break below the 1795 level, we have the clean candles down to about 7088 based on the 4 hour time frame. Obviously now when we drop down to the lower time frames, we could start expecting to see some supports and resistances within these sorts of clean 4 hour ranges. So if we drop down now to the, also structure guys on the 4 hour time frame, this was our low created by this point. We are bullish in market structure because we exceeded that point which created our low, and now this area becomes the area which is going to transition our structure bearish, because that is the point which now created our high. So we are bullish in market structure, giving us a 2v1. So remember, low created by this point, because that's our 2 candle pullback, exceeded that point with these 4 hour candles, created a high. Now we look for the point which created a high. This is a 1 candle pullback. This is our 2 candle pullback. And remember, we want 2 or more candle pullbacks as an indicator of where our structural flip is going to come from. So we are only going to flip structure below these 2 candles. So at the moment we are bullish in market structure on the 4 hour. Now if we're going to look at the 1 hour, this is where we're going to start identifying some zones to trade into. You can see obviously we have this problem over here. We have some major rejection wicks. You can see we've tried to come into this level multiple times and rejected every time. So what could be our safest option at this point is only taking trades with a candle close above this 1808 level. That's if we are going to continue up to this level. Obviously we have quite a long way to go up, so what I would start doing is marking in some minor zones within our current range that we're in. So this is our major zone. Why? Because we marked it out on the 4 hour time frame. This is also a major zone which we can shift down a little bit, because obviously we need to take into consideration this support wick. But again, we can aggressively mark a little bit, it's fine. Now if we're going to be looking for some minor areas to trade into, we can obviously mark out on the 1 hour and the 30 minute, and that would come probably some buys above this 1802 level, because we again will have the clean candles to the left and it plays into our structure. And if we are going to be looking for sells, I would say sells could come below this 1794 level. Again, that will be a break of that 4 hour level of support. And if we're looking for buys, I would say this is a nice early level to take some buys if we do start coming back up a little bit. We also have another really interesting range over here above 1798. You can see we formed the 1 hour level of resistance, and if we break above that level, we got clean candles to the left. How much range do we have? Because that's very important. If we mark it out from the top of the wick to here, we have about 25 pips worth of range. So that's definitely a valid trading range. So we drop down to 30. Is that still clean candles? Yes, it is still clean candles, and we can adjust this top minor zone a little bit as well. So you can see within that 4 hour, our 2 4 hour supports and resistance, we have minor zones within that area. So those have been now marked out as these areas. So this resistance level and this resistance level. And why are they valid now? Because if we break above those, we got the clean candles to the left. We also have structure on our side. Remember guys, our 1 hour structure at the moment is still bullish. And the reason for that, a lot of people will be saying we are bearish just based on how we've been pulling back so strong. But this is our high. Now we need a 2 or more candle pullback. Here's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So we're still not bearish even if we get a candle close below this level. 1, 1, 1. Here's our first 2 candle pullback, right? So we are only going to be bearish below this level in 1 hour market structure. And that is also the level which will be then bearish in 4 hour. Or around that level is where we're going to be flip our 4 hour structure bearish as well. So it's very important to realize that although we may be pushing down, this technically is all micro trending bearish. This is counter trend bearish push to maybe create that support level on the 4 hour time frame or the 1 hour time frame to then continue that overall bullish run. So just keep that in mind. We could start forming some supports at these levels, and that gives us a great opportunity for those early sorts of buys above these levels, and that's why you mark out these minor zones as well, 1798 and 1802. Those could be some very, very nice buying areas. So just keep that in mind. Again, based on the 30-minute time frame, we do have the clean candles to the left, so I would be very interested in buys above this level, and sells below 1794. Of course, it is going to be counter trend, but we got clean candles to the left. It's also going to be a break of a major support level, which is our 4-hour level of support. You can see that marked out over here. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So I would be looking for currently where prices, potential buys. Above about 1798.91. And then we're going to be looking for potential sells below 1794.68. That's going to be counter trend. So important to remember that. .68. Okay, so those are two areas which we're going to be looking for trades. Where we currently are at the moment, I'm not interested at all. You look on the 15-minute, kind of just broke out of a range. Now we're coming back up a little bit. So could be an indication that if we do get a candle close, even not based on the 15-minute time frame above 1798, that we could start continuing that bullish push. GJ at the moment, I hope no one is tempted into taking any trades. Again, we're stuck in a range. There's no point in trying to force a trade. It's going to be very, very risky. So yeah. Patience pays. Let me just check Telegram to see here. I saw, Alessandro, you did put a chart in Telegram, so I'll just check that out. You also have buys above 155.220. Obviously, yeah, you have marked out this 155.244 level, which is actually, yeah, so you have taken into consideration this, which is good. You just do need to be aware of that. Clean candles to the left with these sells. Yeah, so I also have that marked out. I'm just obviously am wary that it's just not the greatest price action previously in these sorts of areas, so you do need to take that into consideration. I think there's going to be a much greater move above this 155.297 level. I think that we could be in for, you know, rather if we wait for that, rather than trying to force a move in this tight range, then it would be a lot safer. But yeah, if you are looking for maybe just a quick entry, then I do see why these are definitely valid zones. I mean, I also have very similar zones marked in. So yeah, nice chart. Don't see charts from anyone else in Telegram, which is concerning. But I'm pretty sure we all have the same idea at this point. Let's also say very risky sells below this level as well. 155.028. Coming up on gold, which is great to see, because yeah, like I said guys, if we do form support at these previous levels of support and we are still in this bullish market overall, then I think that, you know, buys should play out extremely nicely. And if we can get a candle close above this resistance level, I think there's definitely going to be some really nice buys to continue up to at least the 1800s and possibly even further if we do get those higher time frame candle closes. So if we get a nice strong bullish candle close, of course you can see this candle closes in about an hour and 45 minutes or an hour and 40. So if we can get a nice support level form at this, a support form at this level, you can see that will then be resistance turned into support. And then that's, again, a strong indication that that is our break. This will be our retest, and then we can retest this level, the highs, and possibly create new highs. That's what I'll be basing this sort of trade around. But for us to get involved in this move back to retest this high, we need to locate entries on the lower time frames. And that's when we come to our 30-minute time frame, and you can see these are going to be our entry levels. But obviously now we need the candle confirmations as well. So that's why there are obviously a lot more pieces to this puzzle than it may seem, but we just want to see what we want to see. So yeah, would you consider sell below 15488 on GJ? 15488. Yeah, so that's obviously this level that I have marked out at the moment. You do need to obviously be aware, let's say we mark out this support level, you do need to be very aware of this wick. So even if we do get a candle close below this level, you need to then start thinking, okay, that candle close is our lowest candle close. It technically hasn't respected that support level, but what we do need to understand is that this wick on lower time frames is going to be support as well. So if it's a time of high volume, what we would expect is for this wick just to get broken straight through. But if we do have low volume in the markets, we can definitely reject anywhere within this wick. But if this wick wasn't here, this would be a perfect selling zone. So again, if it's a time of high volume, it's going to be an aggressive trade. But yeah, I definitely would stand and consider a sell below that level. We may, if we do get a candle close below this level with the next candle, we may get a wick up and then a push down, break of the previous candle low, and we could see ourselves coming down towards these 154,900 levels. We are at quite an interesting point over here, so that's going to be interesting to see if we can push through those levels. I would though be expecting that if we do start coming down on GJ, we can also start seeing some bullish moves on gold. You know, there is that whole story about the negative correlation between the two. Just, yeah, it happens more often than not, that when the one moves down, the other one moves up. So we are popping above this marked out level, which is great. We have about 9 minutes till this candle close. What we want to see is obviously a nice strong bullish candle close. Talking about gold, buys above 1802 makes sense also because on the 4 hour would mean that prices are breaking previous 4 hour high, anticipating that pullback is done. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what I thought this was on the 4 hour. This bearish push was just that pullback to retest this sort of area. I mean, yesterday managed to get basically the impulse sort of move because we hadn't retested properly. So what you could have been expecting is for us to eventually retest this 1800 level, because with this wick down we didn't exactly retest that level, so this was obviously a risky entry, but I would say that now that we are pushing up a little bit, it does indicate that the retest is complete. Obviously forming that 4 hour support will be a lot stronger confirmation, but I think on the low time frames we can definitely locate an entry that would indicate that the support is going to hold at that level. So again, if we don't push up too far, that will be ideal. Because obviously we are now sitting on this level of resistance. So if we can close above this level of resistance, again, that's a strong indication that that level of resistance is not being respected. And then we got the clean candles to the left. Market structure is on our side. You know, I told you guys I have a buying bias today on gold. So we do obviously need to be aware that we have ADP as well. So if we're sitting in a trade, if we are going to hold something long term, we need to understand that ADP is coming in today and can flip this whichever way it feels like. So yeah, definitely something to take into consideration. Trading before news on news, high impact news days is always like pretty risky. But you know, you gotta play candle setups as well. This will be an amazing setup because you can see that this 30-minute candle has respected this 30-minute candle low, and we have obviously broken the previous 30-minute candle high, indicating that reduction of the seller's pressure and increase of buyer's pressure, as well as if this candle closes strong bullish, that's again another candle confirmation that there's a lot of buyers in the market, and then yeah, not respecting the resistance will be even better. So I am at the moment eyeing out some gold buys. I do want to wait for the candle close though. We have a decent amount of range to trade into, about 23 or so pips. As long as we hover around this level for a little while longer and don't get, you know, this candle pushing too far into our range, because then again, if we start entering into trades at these sorts of levels, we're just catching the scraps and being very, very undisciplined when it comes to trading. If we miss the move, we miss the move. Look for later on moves. Something will appear, but there's no point in trying to hop into entries at these sorts of levels if we have missed the original push. That'll just be lack of discipline. So remember, what we'll be looking for if we do get this candle close above this level, is this following candle to wick down, basically interact with this zone that we have marked out, this 1798 level, basically anywhere up to here. We want to see it react in that zone, form some lower time frame support, so that's going to be 1 minute or 5 minute support, and then continue bullish. And we shouldn't have too many issues continuing up, especially now that that 4-hour candle has flipped bullish. So I think that's also a strong indication. You know, we've rejected this 4-hour level of support. We've now flipped bullish. Very, very good chance that we have now completed our retest and are going to continue at some point today to retest these highs. Only thing that could stop us doing that again is the news. So yeah, it's also nice clean candles on the 15 minutes. So just knowing that there's not going to be lower time frame issues is also highly important. Just before this candle closes, guys, quick reminder, if you can, please do leave a like on the stream. Subscribe if you're unsubscribed. It all helps, all free. I would really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you. Crumb hunter, exactly, it seems. We don't want to be crumb hunters. We don't want to get the last bits of a great move. So let's just identify how can we enter into an overall move like this and get in at these sorts of levels. And that's going to be by waiting for this candle close and then the next candle to break this candle high. It's going to make a huge difference. So yeah, we just have to be a little bit patient. GJ is also flipped bullish, so yeah, just maintaining that range, respecting the support levels, respecting the resistance levels. Just going to have to wait for maybe a move a bit later on GJ. Definitely not worth even trying to look at it at this sort of area. Some people probably would have been hopping into some sells. Some people probably would have been hopping into some buys, but we don't want to be messing around with it. Gold is looking much more enticing. So yeah, just going to wait these 4 minutes out. Hopefully we do get a nice strong candle close above this level, and then yeah, entries will be taken on the next candle. Definitely not this candle. This will be a great candle close, so fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Just gotta be patient. What candles have been doing a lot recently as well is just before a candle close, so maybe the 2 minutes before a candle close, you'll get a strong push. So exactly what's happening at the moment. And what that might do is then start, you know, killing our range. So I'm obviously wary of that. We don't want to see the strong push already, and then that's our trade more or less gone type of thing. So we don't want to, we do have another 2 minutes, but we just want to be a little bit cautious about this one. Happened 2 days ago on GJ. Seems to be happening right in front of us on gold. We have broken a weak 5 minutes resistance level, so obviously that's gonna possibly play into it a little bit. Just seeing if our range is still pretty good. Yeah, at the moment we still have a 16 pip range, 17 pip range. So appreciate all your knowledge. Also, thank you, Antonio. I appreciate all your support. I do. GJ's a joke. Just waiting on gold. Very informative this stream. Thank you, Nick. Glad to have you back. Man was missing yesterday. Okay, this will be a really good candle close. So let's try and get this to, well, there's not much we can do, but let's try and hope for this candle to close as is. Maybe a little bit higher, and then yeah, strong indication that we are certainly not respecting this resistance, and as we speak, bye bye gold. Pretty typical, to be honest. Not ideal in the slightest. Just checking our range here. We still have 15 pips of range, so if we can get a tap back and then push up, I think we should still be decently good to go. I just don't want to see us breaking that high without creating a proper bottom weight, because we do want to see us tap back into even this level. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out now. Okay, so we could be getting our retest. Remember guys, this is also going to give us a spot to put our stop loss. Just getting things ready. It's also the danger of taking impulse entry, guys. So now say this candle doesn't flip bullish and break the previous candle. If you had gotten into this impulse entry, price had moved up probably around 10 pips. You take into consideration gold spread. Now gold spread is always going to be about 1.52 pips. It can be with the best broker out there. It's always going to be decently high. It's always going to be higher than, you know, something like GJ. So if you take into consideration spread and your entry, let's say you had entered at this point, you would have gone up about 9 pips. Take into consideration spread, let's call it 8 pips. Price has now come back to your entry, and let's say now we don't flip bullish and break the previous candle high, and what ends up happening is we come back down into this range. Your technical stop loss level at that point is going to have to be below the current 30-minute candle. So that's 27 pips, right? So now you've taken the impulse entry, and now you are going to have to be managing 27, 28 pips of drawdown. That's if price doesn't flip. So now what we are obviously eliminating by waiting for the candle close and for this candle to retest the zone and flip bullish is our stop loss is going to be a lot smaller. Of course, we're not going to have as big a reward if it does play out, but that's how risk and reward works, you know? If you're willing to risk more and be more aggressive, your reward is obviously going to be higher, but you know, at the end of the day, your loss is going to be a lot bigger because you're trading a lot more risky. So if you were in this impulse entry and thinking things were going swimmingly, things are obviously at the moment not going to be looking so great. But that's why we wait now for this candle to obviously break the high of the previous candle. We also still have the range to trade into. We have about 15 pips worth of range. Take into consideration spread maybe 14, 13 pips worth of range. That's enough to trade into. And we would have also had all the candle confirmations we want. This is exactly what we want to see. This candle tapping into this area, rejecting it, forming some low time frame support, breaking the high of this candle. So therefore we have the respect of the previous candle low. We're not respecting the previous candle high, and our entry is going to be up, hopefully to test this sort of level. Buy stop above previous candle high. I would say I'm pretty comfortable in taking trades above this candle high. I don't know if I'm going to set a buy stop or market execute. Just want to see. I don't want to get tagged into the trade because of spread, because I set a buy stop. So I'll probably market execute it as I see price coming up to this level. But I am very interested in taking buys at this point. 15 pips is more than enough range. So just got to wait and see. It's also looking like a pretty good candle setup. But it's a really good idea of how risky impulse entries are, because if you don't get that initial push of the amount of pips that you're looking for, at least the minimum amount, so if you don't get, let's say you're looking for 10 pips, if you don't get that 10 pips in that first initial push, there's a 90% chance you're going to start holding drawdown as you wait for the retest. So this situation is a very good you know, idea of what you can expect when taking impulses. Because you would have been about 8 pips, I would say, at best 8.5, 9 pips up. You would have come then back down into 4 pips of drawdown. And that's where you got to start thinking, you know, is price going to eventually go back up? And then at that point, you're playing on pure hope, you know. You hope price is going to break this high. So we want to see as many confirmations as possible. And if we now break this candle high, that is a very, very nice confirmation. Just checking the lower time frames. Should be fine to get up. We do need to form some support at this level, because then that's going to be your resistance turned to support. And that's what we look for when we want to see the bullish continuation. Yeah, GJ is a clown, so it's just, yeah, stupid. Like that. If anyone is taking these sorts of trades, you need to stop trading, because, yeah, that is just not a trading range at all. I think gold's going to test our patience, so let's just wait it out a little bit, see what we can do with gold. Looks like we are trying to form a support at that level. Just waiting, boys. Sorry guys, not much we can do about this, but it is obviously going to be pretty good if we can see a break above here. Also, this is a really good sort of tester to see if you were patient enough to wait for this candle close. I know as I was talking it started moving bullish, and again that's going to be a really good indication that, you know, have you improved on your discipline. For example, if you used to be someone who would just take this trade based on us breaking through resistance level, but if you're actually willing to wait for the candle close, probably would have saved you a lot of drawdown, because you can see now anyone who did take these initial impulse entries would have been sitting in some pretty uncomfortable positions. Probably if they were using risk management would have closed some partials by now. But yeah, we just try to save ourselves from those sorts of positions. Of course, that doesn't mean we're not going to lose trades. I mean, I've lost 2 trades in a row now on stream, but managed them perfectly, managed them really well, and I think it just matter of probability at the end of the day. Just got to accept those. So if you are hanging on to this with dear life and thinking, you know, it has to come up at some point, please try and manage risk. If you are taking, you know, it's broken a 5-minute support level now, respecting 5-minute candle highs, not respecting 5-minute candle lows, those are your bearish momentum indicators. So just be aware of that, please. Closing below a 5-minute support level, so we could be heading for a little bit of fake out here on the 30-minute. Only problem with this now, guys, is if we do come up and break this level, our stop loss is going to be 19 pips, so please do take that into consideration. It is going to be a big stop loss, so you may have to lower your lot based on your normal lot, or obviously, you know how we normally do it with the 2% risk, 1 to 2% risk per trade. Just take that into consideration. Obviously, the bigger the stop loss, the smaller your lot size is probably going to need to be. Yeah, it could be a fake out on the 15. So if we close back in this range on the 15-minute time frame, there's a good chance that we'll probably come back and retest at least the 1797 level, possibly come back even down to these levels. But we want to see us, maybe if this 15-minute candle in the last 3 minutes can close above this, then that's obviously going to be an indication that, you know, it's going to be a weak bearish candle, and then we can still see possibilities to continue. But 5-minute does not seem to be doing this 30-minute candle any favors, so yeah. We will just be waiting. Sorry, I will just be waiting. Can't trade GJ, guys, when it's like this. So when someone talks about choppy price action, this is exactly what they're indicating. It means that the way price is moving is not big clear moves, and it's basically bouncing in between 2 price points or 2 areas of support, or an area of support and an area of resistance. So this is a perfect indication of choppy price action. If you were wondering what that meant, just be aware of that. As opposed to this, which is clean price action. That's the point of trading into clean candles. because the whole theory behind it is if we moved easily through these price points one way, we should be able to mirror that move the opposite direction, or move easily through these price points the next time we come into them. So that's the whole ideology behind trading a clean candle. And the reason that we move so easily through them is because there's no supports and resistance, and price stops at supports and resistances. So if we don't have any resistances within here on the relevant time frames, or on higher time frames, so 30-minute could be classified as a higher time frame, the next point that we should reject should be at the next resistance level, right? So if we have 5 or so resistances and 5 or so supports within a close range, so these sorts of areas, we're obviously going to be jumping in between the two, and that's what basically forms our choppy price action. That's why we get these sorts of consolidation moves, because we can't break the resistance and we can't break the support, because they're too tight together. There's not enough volume. Yeah, gold is more or less becoming invalid at this point, by the looks of it. Because if we had a zone drawn in, guys, what we would have basically wanted, based on the 30-minute time frame, our zone would have looked something like this. So we want price to react within the zone, and that's where you want your candle to tap into, react with the zone, and continue. Some people do trade like this, where they will draw in the full zone, which basically covers the wicks as well as the body level. But obviously, on other occasions, I don't draw in the zone all the time. Sometimes I will, just to see if we have had a relevant reaction at that level. But other than that, you know, you don't always have to do it. Sometimes it is just a good visual representation of where you want to see a reaction. Otherwise, you can just keep it as a mental note. Another terrible London session. Yeah, tell me about it. Have we had a good London session this year, guys? I actually don't think we have had a good London session this year. So this would then be, just talking about the zones, this would then be our next zone above the resistance level, because you take into consideration the full resistance level. But yeah, literally not a single, I don't think we have had a single good London session this year. And we're in Feb. For the fake out, it's better to wait for the 30-minute candle close. It is better to wait for the 30-minute candle close. However, you can also base it on the 15-minute. It's just going to be, you know, less confirmation. But I've seen fake outs plenty happen on the 15-minute time frame. Obviously, that's where you're going to catch the earliest fake out. But the problem comes now is, obviously, we've closed on an area of resistance. So now if this 15-minute candle does respect this candle low and form some support, that could be our retest complete. And then we could see that candle, the next candle, continue bullish, because this is also going to be, with this next 15-minute candle close, is going to be our 1 hour candle close. So if we can still get our 1 hour candle closing above this level of 1 hour resistance, we could see ourselves still coming up to this sort of 1801 level. But we need to see how this 15-minute candle closes, because that's obviously going to indicate where this 1 hour candle closes. Character building day, yeah, in the wise words of Roger Banks. This is a character building day, and it's just kind of like a, you know, gaining some patience, because I do hope that, weirdly enough, I hope that there were people before watching my streams who would have taken these sorts of entries just based on breaking the resistance levels, who have now taken a step back and realized, you know, waiting for the candle close makes a huge difference. It's going to keep you out of a lot of losses, and it's going to increase the amount of probability you know, when it comes to your trading, just your average trade, you know. So I hope that there are people who maybe used to take impulse entries at these sorts of levels who have now started to realize, you know, hopefully through the streams, that waiting for the candle close is going to be a lot better. And if you just manage to take impulse entries out of your trading, let's say for 6 months, you will notice a massive difference. If you only trade candle closes, you will notice a considerable difference. It makes, you know, a huge change. That's not to say that, you know, after a while, after analyzing and studying impulse entries, you shouldn't take impulse entries. I do sometimes take an impulse entry, but I've been, you know, analyzing how impulse entries work for a very long time. And there's certain times of the year as well where impulse entries play out better than others, certain market conditions and certain candle formations. So basically, if a candle, how I would look at it is, let's say we're ranging in this area. If a candle closes within this area, within this resistance area, but the candle body is down here, so technically you still respected your resistance, but the wick has been left in this sort of zone. If the next candle then pushes and breaks above, that would be a much higher probability impulse entry because we're not moving so far. The problem with this impulse entry is, look where your stop loss was. Look where this candle started. The candle started 20 pips below where the impulse entry would have taken place. More than 20, 25 pips. So if your candle's opening at this level and only has to travel this far, as opposed to if your candle's opening at this level and has to travel this far, first of all, it makes your stop loss a lot smaller. Your stop loss, if your candle starts here, is going to be below the current candle low, because that's where it has to be for a technical level. So this way your stop loss would have been. If we're looking then at the distance that we have to travel then to get to our area of taking the impulse entry, here we have traveled 25 pips, right? Here we've traveled, if our candle was opening here, let's say 7 pips. There's a massive difference in that. So those are small things you need to look at when taking impulse entries. So we could be forming obviously now this 15-minute support on a previous level, 15-minute resistance, break and retest. Also, if this closes up at these levels, that's going to be a great 1 hour candle close, a nice, really strong bullish 1 hour candle close. You can see at the moment our 1 hour candle obviously is leaving a wick within this area, so we just need to be aware of that. If we can see it close up at these levels, wick down and continue, I do see us definitely getting up to 1801 and then possibly seeing that further bullish continuation. It's also a lot's going to ride on this 4 hour candle, guys. If this 4 hour candle can close reasonably strong bullish, so you can see we've tapped into a previous level of 4 hour support, rejected that, we now flip the 4 hour candle bullish, and we want to see it now close strong bullish, because then that's going to indicate that, okay, now we've formed our retest. If we then break this 4 hour candle high, wick down and break the 4 hour candle high, that could be an indication then that we're going to retest this 4 hour candle high, which we created, I think this was, yeah, yesterday, early yesterday. Yeah. So this 15-minute candle is going to tell us a lot. GJ trying to make a bit of a bearish push, trying to rally, not really interested at all. It's also important to remember that the range below this level is only 9.5 pips. So depending on how tight you want to make your ranges or how small you want to allow your ranges to be, I would be very wary of this and say there's going to be much safer sells below 154.884, which I'm still not overly happy about because obviously we got this rejection wick to worry about at that level. So also something to take into consideration. Need the support to form, some decently strong support. So no trades taken today, guys. Could be another one of those where it's afternoon session trades only. Got about 6 minutes left till this candle closes. A weak bullish candle close as well will not be good for anyone looking for buys, because then if we break that weak bullish support, also based on the 15-minute, I do see a very good chance of us coming back down to these sorts of levels. Because again, that's another one of your bearish confirmations. That'll also then result in a fake out on the 30 minutes, and then there's a good chance again that we can come down to 1796, that sort of level. I do still see, based on the higher time frames, that there is a good chance that we have completed our retest, but we do need to see the actual candles closing if we want to have the pure confirmation of that. This 15, yeah, it's gonna tell us a lot. If anyone else has any other charts that they want to set in Telegram, please send them through now. Otherwise, yeah, if anyone has any charts or pairs that they want me to take a look at quickly before we wait for this candle close, we've got about 5 minutes, then I'll happily do that too. So just let me know. I've only got one chart in the Telegram so far, and that was from Alessandro. Very nice GJ chart. Just based on the fundamentals coming in for the rest of the week, guys. Obviously, yeah, today ADP, tomorrow pound news, so just please be careful of that if you trade any pound related pair. Friday is the big day. Obviously, we all know NFP. This is going to be, you know, huge as always. Then going into next week, we can check out Monday. Very nice trading day if you trade purely off of technicals, because obviously we have basically, well, we don't have any high impact news and nothing really that's going to move the GJ or the any US dollar related pair, which is great. Tuesday also a low impact day. We do have the crude oil inventories coming in. This 10-year bond auction is always just a load of nonsense, so don't stress too much about that. But again, that's much later next week. So it looks like the beginning of next week is going to be really good for pure technical traders and people who obviously don't like trading fundamentals, which is, you know, perfectly fine as well. So yeah, based on all of that, I would say that we need to be very wary of tomorrow and Friday. Also this afternoon, to be honest. We're getting this nice strong support form here. We have about 3 minutes left. It's going to be good for the 1 hour candle as well. So let's just wait and see. 30-minute candle, hopefully then as well, will form a weak bearish 30-minute candle. And that's going to be indication that if we break this resistance, we should be able to continue bullish. So pound yen coming down, finally. Got a chart here, I think it's a chart from Zimps. Nasdaq, looks like there's massive ranges on Nasdaq. Got some huge buying ranges, 258 pips to the downside, but I think that would be counter trend if we made such a strong bullish push yesterday. And then obviously you got further continuation buys above, you know, 15,217.5. Yep, looks pretty good. I don't know what the market structure on Nasdaq is, but yeah, like I said, normally when you have a strong push like this, it's going to flip a lot of the structures bullish if you weren't bullish already. GJ coming down, probably going to get a candle close by the looks of it below this 155.028 level, which is good for anyone looking for sells. Again, guys, please be aware of this range. Clean candles, but it's a tight range, 9.3 pips. Not my sort of ideal trading range on the 1 hour, however. Now that's a bit more enticing. 12 pips, okay, still not great. Nothing to get excited about. So now we're gonna have two situations on our hands. We're gonna have GJ and gold. I think I'm much more interested in gold, to be honest. depending again on this candle close. GJ is pushing pretty well. Let's check this range. 11 pips. Quickly becoming 10 pips. We've had some very strong pushes towards the end of candles. That's what I have realized over the past few days. Whenever we come near a candle close, there's always a strong push. Now, it might just be that time of the year, but yeah, it's happening quite a lot. See how this 1 hour candle is going to close, still in the range. Making things a little bit tricky. Certainly not a bad candle close on pound yen. Gold has formed some 50-minute support now, so now obviously we have a bit of a situation on our hands. Pound yen is trying to come down. Quite a tight range though, so 11 pips, and we have a 30-minute level of support coming up as well, very close by, 6 pips away. Yeah, nothing concrete here, guys. The fact that this 30-minute candle has respected the previous 30-minute candle high, and now if we break this 30-minute candle low, we could definitely start heading down towards this 1796 level. GJ on the other hand as well is also just could get a possible retest of this level then to continue bearish, but yeah, just gonna have to wait and see. 4 on GJ does look pretty good, especially if we are gonna start forming some resistance. GJ form support and catch buys. Well, if we form support on GJ, that's likely going to be a fake out. So then in that situation, yeah, buys would make sense, because then what's going to happen is we're going to have faked out the bottom of this range and then come back up to these sorts of levels. So that's going to be, yeah, 15 pips worth of range. Just got to be very careful with those sorts of trades. gold is, yeah, I don't actually think gold is, based on this 1 hour wick, is going to be very tradable in this range. It's going to be pretty tough. Okay, well, I think based on all the candle closes, I mean, GJ guys, I would say that now if we retest wick into this area and break this 1 hour candle low, sorry, this 1 hour candle low, then there is a chance obviously to see us come down to this 154.884 sort of area. Other than that though, please try not to be too tempted into taking a trade. Of course, also above this level, if we do start forming some support, you could see us have formed that fake out and then come back to the top of the range. Please be aware of that happening as well. So those are what I'm looking at on GJ. So either fake out on the 30-minute time frame, that's going to be based on this 30-minute candle, how it closes. Otherwise, I think that based on the 1 hour time frame, you could be seeing us come down to 154. Whether I'm going to take those or not, it is counter trend well against my bias anyway, so I don't think I'll be too interested in that. And other than that, on gold, I'm still quite interested in some gold buys, but I think they may not come now. They may come a little bit later on in the day after we form this 4 hour support, and then can possibly break this 4 hour candle high and continue to these sorts of levels. So yeah, just be aware of all the possibilities. There's a lot that can happen. We also, please be aware of the news coming in later today. Just going over quickly, I am going away tomorrow, so I will not be streaming tomorrow, Friday or Monday, because I'm coming back on Monday. And I will be doing probably Discord calls. So what I'm going to do is, if you're not part of the Telegram, join the Telegram. I'm going to send the Discord in the Telegram, and I will be able to do sessions through Discord. So that will at least allow me to stay in contact with you guys and still trade with you guys. So that will be good. I will do that after the stream. Otherwise, I hope that you guys all have a great rest of your day. Appreciate again all the support. And please trade safely as well. Don't get tempted. You can already see anyone taking different sorts of impulses. This morning would have been probably burnt a little bit. And yeah, I appreciate again, guys, all the support. Please do remember to leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Telegram, Instagram, all is linked in the description. So if you aren't following or haven't joined either of those, would greatly appreciate it. And then yeah, Discord will be coming to the Telegram as well, the link for that. So join up. And yeah, cheers guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, thank you Nick, thank you Stanley, thanks Sharif, Alessandro Balasim, everyone, Antonio. Yeah, really appreciate all the support. So cheers guys.